Hello, everybody. I'm going to talk very briefly about what erasers and sharpeners I use when I am doing my colored pencil work. Again, this is very much a personal thing. There are many different kinds of erasers and sharpeners, which you may or may not like. So let's just have a look at any of the erasers, rubbers. I like using the Faber-Castell putty rubber. I find it a very, very pliable, kneadable eraser, and because of that, really, really useful. There's lots of different ones on the market, but I find these to be particularly good. They don't ooze their rubberiness. Sometimes some of the others are inclined to ooze it when it's very warm or anything like that. I find that to be useful. Very good for lifting out subtle areas. So I use that eraser, the Faber-Castell putty rubber art eraser. Sometimes they call it all sorts of strange things, but that's what I use. The next thing, if I've got small areas that I need erasing, I use one of these, Tombow. It's like a clutch pencil, except you have a little bit of erasing tip in there. If you want to push it out to get the tip longer, you just click the top like you would a clutch pencil. To put it back in, same thing, click the top and just push it back. Very useful for erasing small areas. It's just really your ordinary white plastic eraser, but I find it helpful. Plastic eraser as well, and it's one of these battery operated ones, and I love the narrow erasing tip. You do get, with this particular make, you do get a broader erasing tip as well. But what I like is the revolution is particularly quick, and because of that, it doesn't sort of wander all over your paper as you are trying to erase. And because it's quite narrow, you can hold it quite still. So that's very useful. And then another one that is also good is this one that I have. Now, this is a bit like the old typewriter eraser. That ages me. Some of you younger people may not have heard of such things, but it's quite a gritty eraser. So the actual content there is quite gritty. You can see I can sharpen it, and that's really useful too. It's quite hard, so you have to be careful when you erase that you don't damage the surface of the paper. It has a useful little brush at the end, which you may or may not need, but that's a very useful one as well. Now, let's get on to sharpeners. This is what I use mostly. It's a cheap one from Lidl's. I find them to be really, really good, and they give me a nice sharp point. You can see that's just a fabulous point. Now, there are many trains of thought. Some people say they damage your pencil because they revolve around. And to be fair, that's, quite fair comment. However, I use so many pencils that I have never found it to damage any of them. That's what I use. You do not have to use it, but I find it convenient for me. You can get many different kinds, but that I find to be the most convenient battery-operated sharpener. I also use these little sharpeners. This happens to be a Faber-Castell one, but you get, again, different makes. And really useful, 3 little holes. The bigger hole is useful for the larger pencils. Sometimes some of the makes are slightly fatter, and so that's really good. I find the blades last very well in these sharpeners. That gives you a slightly shorter point. These are a very long point. I quite like working with a longer point, but it's only my choice. That's the equipment that I use, but really the world's your oyster. Find something that works for you. I don't have one of those nice hurdy-gurdy ones that you wind up. I find that for me, I've got to put everything down. I've got to clip the pencil in. I've got to wind it. Then I've got to unclip everything. And to be quite honest, I find the battery-operated one more suitable for myself. But it'll depend on you. You may love those hurdy-gurdy ones. They are very good for the pencils, I believe, not damaging them as much. It really is over to you.